Rarely ever late. I just got a little in my head. But I'm back. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Saturday yoga intermissions. It might not be Saturday for you, but it is for me. Excited to talk today, not just talk today, but practice today the notion of strengthen versus stretching. I know that I personally tend to go where I feel the most comfortable when I'm doing it, especially when I'm doing my self practice. So, as an example, I feel very comfortable doing Trikonasana, triangle pose. So, in my own self practice, I always work it in. Doesn't mean I need it, maybe. Doesn't mean I need it, maybe not. I have also had students who are so flexible that the things they love and that they stay in are things that demonstrate their flexibility, like folds and stretches. Now, if you're a dancer, you're likely going to be stretchy. You need to spend a bit more time on strengthening. And if you can, as I said in my description, muscle your way into a headstand or a handstand, that's great. Good for you, shaking of the hands. But you might want to spend more time on stretching. Just like if you're a runner, you need a certain kind of stretching, and maybe you need upper body strength. It doesn't mean the other stuff isn't important and you shouldn't be looking to work toward equanimity across all of the aspects of the body to make you whole, as it were, integer, into integrity yoga, all are yoking together, the whole, the one, the unity. But today we're just going to focus a little bit more on the experience, the feeling of things. So if you spend more time in, say, a seated stretch or a standing stretch, maybe you need to do the opposite. So for example, my quad's super tight, but I'm going to spend time both stretching and strengthening them today, and that I will point out. And I'll ask you simply to observe what is going on in your body. And note, I'm not saying don't do the things you love, whether that's, pigeon, for example. I'm not saying don't do those, but pay attention to what else you might need to counteract the stretching the pigeon is giving you. What is going to strengthen those thighs and those hips. One of the really key postures today is chair. So if you feel like you might want to do chair against a wall, which you can do, you can go ahead and do that. That will aid in your stamina, as it were. All right, so legs crossed. Let's do it the uncomfortable way. Let's rest the backs of the wrists or the backs of the hands on the knees or the thighs and lower the shoulders. Draw your tailbone forward a little bit, so that might feel weird. That might open up a little bit across the shoulder blades as well. What do you feel here? If you do a body scan, could be quick, could be a little slower. You identify a place that's feeling very open, very flexible. Maybe that's your mind. Maybe that's your heart. Maybe that is your left underarm. And now check things out again. And notice a place that might feel tight. For me, as I said, that's my quads. And if during this practice we're not supporting in a particular posture that area that feels tight or holding on to something, go ahead and find the posture that works for you at any time. But also take the opposite. Drop your hands by your sides. Inhale, shrug the shoulders up to the ears. Reach them behind you. Heart is open. Draw the belly in and release it all. Like a curtain falling from the ceiling. Inhale, shoulders up. Press them behind you. Release. And one more time. Both sets of fingers on the floor beside you, left and right. We're going to tilt the right ear toward the right shoulder. And if that really hurts your left shoulder, you might take the left hand onto your heart. Chin drops. A little pendulum swing left and right for your head. Next time the chin drops to the chest, lift the head parallel, chin parallel to the earth, and left ear drops to left shoulder. Chin drops, we find gentle, slow circles with the neck and the head. Remembering to draw the tailbone forward, and we'll make sure we take the equivalent on the other side. And chin parallel to the earth. Keep your right fingertips down. Extend your left arm to the sky. Press into the ground. Reach to the sky, but don't do it just with your arms. You're doing it from the sitting bones all the way to the fingertips. Breathe in, and we tilt toward the right. See, if rather than squinching up or scrunching up that right side a ton, you want to open both sets of ribs while taking your tilt. It's a little hard to feel, but you might feel the expansion here. I have a friend who even will put his hand on the right side to make sure that he's not squishing it too much. Now I can feel my quads are tightening, so I'm going to focus on loosening them. And take that to the other side. Left fingertips down, right arm nice and high. We get really tall from the sitting bones all the way to the fingertips, and we tilt over to the left. And I'm going to take Freddie's advice and place my left hand on my left rib cage to make sure it's not squishing in too much. We're going to rise up, draw the hands behind us, maybe hook the knuckles or interlace them, and draw the knuckles toward the earth. You might be sitting on something, and that might give you something to draw the knuckles to. We're going to lift the belly, draw it in. Sneak the shoulder blades together, lift that heart. Maybe you drop the head back. Beautiful opening. We're taking every movement that the spine makes. And then we're going to move into a twist. Keep your right hand behind you. Send your left hand to the outside of your thigh or knee. You might move the fingers of the right hand to face outward. Breathe in tall. Breathe out, twist. Inhale to twist again. Loosen your shoulders one more time. Inhale through center, twist to the other side. 3 rounds of breath. As we draw front and center, we hook or interlace the fingers once again. Scoop the belly in and find a fold. Hands might float away from your spine, they might not. But check the neck, it likes to get tight here. See if you can kind of make it feel like a bungee cord. We'll rise up, arms overhead, palms forward. We'll face the backs of the hands forward and sweep the arms behind us. We'll just take that again, but this time with a whoosh. Whoosh. And again, arms up. Whoosh. And again, arms up. Last time. Whoosh. Come forward and up, cactus shape arms. You'll notice we're doing everything seated, kind of what we'll also do standing. Now, my shoulder just squeezed up by my ears like I was trying to hold a pencil in the back of my neck. So check in with that. Get wired in the elbows and activate the triceps. We're going to take eagle arms. Right elbow comes under left. You might have one wrap, so the back of the right hand on the back of the left arm or hand, or maybe there's a double wrap. Double stuffed Oreos. Lift the elbows, draw the belly in and up. Make real estate between your shoulder blades. Maybe the elbows lift a little higher, the belly gets a little longer, and then we scoop the belly in, draw the rib cage toward the hips, and the elbows toward the navel. Drop your head. And to a ta-da! Little circles with your arms forward and backward, and bigger circles forward and backward. I have this video that allows me to see that my right hand is dropping lower than my left. I don't know why that is, but I'm noticing it. And bigger forward. Maybe it's the angle I'm at. And bigger backward. Arms sweep up toward the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Consider here what it is that brought you to your mat, whether that is an intention or a motivation or just a simple why. We're going to move into a demonstration, which I'll invite you to join me on, as it relates to the quads, stretching the quads versus strengthening the quads. And we all, of course, need that, but we can mix some stuff into that, which works to strengthen and sturdy the whole body, many, many muscles and tendons in the body with chair. But we're actually going to start with a lion's roar, which for me is a quad stretch. So if you come to your knees, I like to place a pillow behind my knees before I sit back because it helps a little bit with the bend in the knees. So right now, for me, this is actually a quad opener. I could even lean back into a back bend and make it even more of a quad stretch. But that's not what we're doing. So this is a gentle quad stretch. And the idea here is to loosen up and expel any negative energy. Lion's breath, I think if you've practiced with me before, you are likely to have practiced this. So when you breathe, after you breathe in deeply, you're going to force the air out of your mouth. Your tongue is going to join the air. Your eyes pop open wide. And you make a nice loud sound. It might or might not sound like a lion, and that is okay. So we loosen the shoulders, breathe in. Boy, that feels good. So that's our little basic quad stretch. If I wanted to stretch my quads more, I can remove the pillow. I feel a stretch on the front of my ankles as well. And then, as I said, if we want to stretch even more, we can move more into a back bend, but I wouldn't go too far on this today. Heels of the hands at the low back, press your flesh down, press your hips forward, extend your torso. So right now, it's actually a back bend, primarily a back bend move, but for me, it's a quad stretch, which is partly why I really want to stretch your quads before you do any major back bends like a bridge or a wheel. I said wheel. A wheel. All right, so now we're going to draw down into our tabletop. We're going to take it on our forearms. Let me fix my mat here. And don't worry, we'll get to chair. Forearms, elbows under shoulders. If you can, the inner parts of the arms are flat on the ground. Fingers are wide. Imagine you're drawing the mat backward with your hands. And then just take a little tuck of the tailbone and a drawing of the belly button up. Push away from the ground with your forearms, your fingertips, the pads of your fingers, the feet, tops of the feet, the knees. Stay here for a moment and breathe. Can you feel this in your triceps? Where else do you feel it? This is a strengthener. It's not an opener. Not a can opener either. And breathe, but you're really working it here. There's so much going on. Sometimes this might be all you need when you get up in the morning. Use those muscles, use that pressure. Next time you inhale, drop your belly, lift your hips, lift your heart, and gaze. That's a cow. We move into the Halloween cat. Breathe out. Really tuck that chin. Inhale for the cow. Is there a Halloween cow? Maybe it's orange and black, or maybe its teeth are like candy corn. Press away. Halloween cat. Inhale for cow. And exhale for cat. Come to a neutral spine, so that's going to be some work too. You're going to extend the right leg behind you, but the shoelace side of the foot is still on the ground. So if you started to tilt onto the left side, let's work this out. Press more energy into the top of the right foot. Press your elbows and forearms and finger pads into the ground. Draw the belly in. Now use that power in the belly and the thigh to draw the leg off the ground. We're going to do another quad opening by bending that right leg, imagining you're stepping on the sky and pumping that right leg up and down. I might have said left, I meant right. If you have the stretch, you might come to your hands, reach around with your left hand to take a hold of the right foot or the pant leg. Mine's not staying very well. And then bring your heart forward for your quad stretch. Arm and leg, both long. Makes me think of arm and hammer. Hand and knee down, some cats and cows, or some swirlies, or some hip circles. And we'll move into that on the other side. Returning to your forearms, elbows under your shoulders. Check it all out, line it all up. Palms of the hands on the ground, belly in, tailbone down. Real estate between your shoulders. Pause here and breathe. Glide the left foot back. Square up your hips. Use your quad. Use your belly, use your glutes, float that leg off the mat. Square up those hips and bend your left leg as if you're stepping on the clouds, and you can pump the leg up and down, working your glutes, your hamstrings, and your quads. If you have the quad stretch in you, you're going to come to all threes, both two hands and a knee, and then you'll reach behind you with the right hand to take a hold of the left foot or ankle. Heart comes back around in front, and we're stretching our quad deeper. Arm and leg, front and back, and hand and knee to the mat. Come back to your forearms, your cats and cows, your hip circles, moving side to side, a hula hoop motion, loosening things up. Return to all fours. Walk your hands forward a couple inches, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Maybe you pedal in and out of your down dog here. Rise up to the tippy toes, bend your knees, look past your hands, and make your way to them for a forward fold at the front of your mat. Hamstring and back stretch. So rather than preventing this from happening, you might bend your elbows and cup them. Bring your interlaced fingers behind your head, or simply feel the heaviness of the head and the neck. Hands to your shins, halfway lift. Your bottom might have sunk down a little bit. Your shoulders come back. Exhale, forward fold. Feet as wide as your hips. Bend the left knee. Bring the left fingertips to the mat or a prop under your nose. Float the right arm high. Keep that right leg nice and straight. Press the outer edge of that right foot into the earth. If you like a half bind, take it here. And exhale, switch it up. Left leg straight, right knee bent, and your twist. Left hand down, removing any props if you have them, halfway lift, and a forward fold. Feet move a little bit together, float all the way up to stand. Arms reach over the head. Exhale, hands to your heart, Samasthihi. Notice the feet. Are they doing you all the good they possibly could? In other words, are you taking up the real estate that the feet can offer? That supports balance. It supports sturdiness. It supports the earth chakra, your connection to the material world. Just like when we're seated, right hand down, left arm nice and high. Get tall. Tuck the tailbone in, tilt over to the right. If you like a bind, half bind, take that here, but making sure that both sides of the rib cage are opening. Obviously, the right side's collapsing a little bit, but even so, you want more space amongst all the ribs of the rib cage. Rise up, bring the left arm behind you and the right arm to meet it if it is not already. You could scooch your hands toward your elbows. For a moment, we're just going to take a modified chair pose, nice wide legs, belly and tail down, and then we'll fold, keeping the hands on your forearms if you can, and floating the forearms off the spine if you can, but my triceps and biceps are pretty tight. Release the hands, rise all the way up, arms overhead. This time left hand drops. Big breath in. Tall, 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 and tilt. Energy into the outer edge of that right foot and the inner edge of the left. Half bind or full or not, your choice. This time we'll rise up, both hands overhead, and exhale, hands to your heart. Check in with the body. Take a look down at your feet. My feet are a little awkward right now, so I'm going to make them parallel to one another. Oftentimes, it is the heels coming in rather than the outer edges of the feet being parallel with the outer edges of your mat. You want to be at least bony hips wide with your feet, maybe a little bit wider for this practice. And we're going to work our way into the chair. So we did some thigh, some quad opening. Now we're going to work on quad strengthening. So we're going to just simply imagine that the sitting bones are drawing behind your heels. Imagine you have, or go grab a prop like a block or a PT ball or something. Place it in between your thighs or your knees so that the thighs are kind of spinning toward each other. Your belly is in and up. So this, what is this doing? Any clue? I can't hear you if you're answering, so I'll offer a few things. Ankle stability, ankle strength, quad and calf strength, stamina, belly strength, core strength. And we'll rise up. Arms will sweep up overhead. And exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Rise up to stand. We're going to extend our chair pose from what we just did. We're going to sit into our chair again. Strength, stamina, tailbone forward. So if you're tucking your, dropping your belly forward and down and tucking your booty out, you want to drag that forward. And now we're going to add to the stamina and strengthening by coming onto the balls of the feet. So lift your heels off the mat. It's especially helpful if you have a prop between your knees. See if you can sink a little lower here. Ooh, there are the quads. Bring the heels down, stay low. Can you shift backward, maintain the power in the belly, and reach the toes off the mat? Spread them wide and one at a time, starting with the pinky toes, bring them down to the mat. And let's rise up. Woo! Them some hard working thighs. Hands overhead, exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, bottom drops. Breathe out, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to your heart. Hands to your hips. Now, we're going to do a little more strengthening, and we're going to do that in a warrior two. So you're going to go ahead and step back with your left foot, keeping your right toes pointing straight forward, giving yourself enough space for stability. Energy in the outer edge of your left foot, which is parallel to the back of the mat, and then a bend in your front knee. What happens here is if we put too much energy here and not enough in the back leg, the knee's going to shoot forward out the toes, which is not stable. It's also not great for the body. So we're going to tuck the tailbone down, draw the belly forward, press energy, the belly, the tailbone, press energy into the outer edge of the left foot, and make sure that right knee is directly over the right ankle. Arms come out. So stamina building, quad building, tricep building, breath building, ankle building. It's kind of like chair, maybe just coming short a teeny little bit. Now, quads. If you have tight quads, this might make them tighter. So maybe we come into a straight front leg for a moment and then bend back in. Straighten out and bend back in. Straighten out, reverse, and then we come into, as you know, my favorite triangle pose. Doesn't necessarily stretch the quads so much as it does the hips, the ribs, the shoulders. Nice little pop in my back, feeling good. And return back to your warrior two, hands to your hips. Draw the front leg straight and spin on your right heel so both feet are facing the side of your mat. We're going to work on quad strengthening again by bringing the heels out, dropping the tailbone and bending your knees outward. This might open the thighs a little bit. You can take a wider stance as well. But again, you don't want your booty way behind. You want to tuck it. And arms come out of the T. Cactus shape, God's pose. This is definitively a thigh strengthener, but also your butt, your glutes. Rise back up. Exhale, come down. Rise up. Exhale, come down. Tuck that tailbone, rise up. Exhale, come down, hands on your hips, rise up. Bring your front foot parallel to the front of the mat. Spin on your left foot so your left toes point to the back of the mat. Bend into your front knee and take your warrior two posture. Lots of energy in the outer edge of that front foot. Use the outer edge of the back foot as well. Straighten the front leg, reverse. Warrior two. Straighten the front leg, reverse. Warrior two. Straighten the flat front leg, reverse, triangle pose, opening hips, softening in the back leg a little bit, still working the front leg. Warrior two, hands on your hips, straighten both legs, spin to the long end of your mat for a little respite, halfway fold. Now the hamstrings and the quads obviously work together, right? So if your quads are tight, it's going to yank on the thighs. If your quads are loose, you're going to have a little bit more of an opening, but it might cause the opposite of yanking on your on your hamstrings, all the way down. Hands walk forward, bring your heels off the mat, walk your hands forward more, and bring your heels back down. See how far you can go. Now we're stretching the tops of the feet, the hammies a little bit, the back is long. Walk your hands inward. Spin to the front of the mat for a forward fold. Rise up to stand, arms overhead, hands to your heart. So we're going to take, I'm pretty sure we've done this before, a different version of chair. I am actually going to demonstrate using one of the poles, which I think you can see if I turn this way, I can do it. You could use a wall, or you don't have to use anything, but it helps to have something on your back so that you can feel the extension of the low back. And this is terrific for anybody with hips that get a little crackly, or lordosis in the low back, or just general pain in your low back. So I'm coming to the pole or the wall. I'm going to spread my feet about hips, wide hips distance, and turn. And for me, because my left hip comes forward and down a lot, and I want it up and back, I move my right foot forward of my left foot a little bit. So I organize myself so I can feel my low back press against the pole. I probably can't glide along this pole that easily, but we'll try. So the arms come out and they lock back into your shoulders. You can do this standing without putting your back on something else if you like. Then we're gonna move down the wall. I'm gonna shift my feet out a little bit so my knees are not too far forward of my toes. I'm gonna press the low back onto the wall or the pole. Now I'm going to squeeze the lowest ribs on my rib cage toward my hips and come forward with my shoulder blades in my hands. 2, 3, 4. Hands on the thighs. I'm going to come back up. You might shake it out. This is so great, not just for the thighs, but also the hips. It's a variation on a chair that can make your whole body a lot stronger. So that, every time you get in and out of your car, maybe you don't have the tweak in the low left back, or maybe every time you walk up the stairs, you don't feel like you tire in the middle of it. So let's take that 2 more times. Feet are wider than your wide hips. Low back against the pole or the wall, or nothing. Glide down. So your knees are bent and you're as far down as you can manage. Belly in and up, tailbone forward. Rib cage now moves toward your hips as you breathe out, and Shoulder blades come away from whatever you're pressing against. Breathe in and out. Squeeze in, squeeze in, squeeze. We come back up. And we're going to take that one more time. It's kind of funny talking to you from over here. Hi. One more time. All right. Coming back down with the knee bend. I'm going a little lower this time. Pressing my low back against the wall. I can feel my quads starting to get tired. We're working the belly, the quads, the low back, and go. And rise up. Coming back to the mat, shake it out. Woo! We have done that on the mat before. It's actually a little harder against a straight, hard surface behind your back, but that's really to emphasize what that's doing here and here and here. So hopefully you get a little bit out of that that's beneficial for you, or a lot of it out of that. We're going to go down to the mat and do some of our stretches. Move into pigeon, because how can we not? Some twists, some back bends, and then we'll end the class. Arms sweep out and up. Breathe out your forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Step back. High plank. Go to your vinyasa or direct to downward dog. I can't vinyasa because of my wrist. And then we're going to peel forward. Actually, take 2 breaths. Peel forward, knees down. We're going to take our camel or half camel along, using that theme of thigh opening, quad opening. For me, I need to tuck my toes under. You might not have to. And again, if you just dumped everything forward, draw the tailbone down and forward and lift the belly up. Heels of the hands at your low back. Press the flesh down. Send the hips forward. Extend the torso. Squeeze the shoulder blades. Lift the heart. Breathe. Only the second time around will we do the actual camel if you have it as part of your practice. Right now, I prefer that you feel the bottoms of your feet in the air, what the quads are doing, that you're actually lowering the flesh of the bottom by tilting your tailbone forward, and that you're lifting your heart. Slowly draw the belly in, shoulders over the hips, untuck your toes, have a seat. You might take a little helicopter run. I have no idea if that's what it sounds like. Have you ever heard a helicopter in real life? I'm not sure I have. You gotta bend your head so you don't get all that wind decapitated or decaffeinated. All right, we're gonna come back up. Tuck your toes. We'll take that same thing over again. If you have a full camel, take your time, move into that without my instruction or during my instruction. Heels of the hands on your low back. Press the flesh down, tailbone forward, extend the torso, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the heart. This time the head drops. If you have your full camel, move into it here. If you'd like to try half camel, drop your left hand to your left heel. Keep pulling the tailbone forward. You're going to feel your quads and float the right arm up, opening up a little deeper. Oh, that feels really good in the ribs, the top of the belly. If it feels too much in your low back, come out of this. And then we're going to switch to the other side. Hands to your heart, tuck the belly in, rise up. We're going to sit down onto the mat and move into a twist. Right heel underneath your left thigh. close to your bottom. And if you have it, the left ankle can cross to the other side of the right thigh. It's not required. That will help open up the outer thigh as well. Sit up tall, shoulders away from the ears, breathe out, twist. If possible, if you've crossed your left ankle to the outside of the right thigh, see if you can press the big toe onto that foot to the earth. Inhale, front and center. We're going to swing that left leg around behind us to find pigeon. Take your time. Set things up. If pigeon is not for you and is often not for people with narrow hips, you can always bring the heel of the front foot closer to the opposite front hip. Props if you need them. You want your head resting on something so your shoulders can relax. We'll shift onto that right hip. Bring the soles of the feet together. You can make a nice wide diamond or a narrow diamond here for your Baddha Konasana. You might stay upright or find a fold. We haven't done much inner thigh opening, so this should be helpful for that. We did a little bit in our warrior two. We're doing a little bit with the hip and thigh opening of pigeon. All right, we're going to take our twist to the other side. Left heel under your right thigh. Right ankle crosses if it works for you. If it doesn't, you can keep it just in front of your right hip. Breathe in fully. Exhale, twist, lower the shoulders. Inhale, front and center, swing the right leg around for your pigeon. Please make sure you prop your left thigh if that sitting bone is way off the ground. The side might be very different. Don't worry about it. Just find what works for you safely here. Shift onto the left hip. Swing your right leg around, both knees to the sky. Find yourself in the middle of the mat. Lift your heart. And then slowly round your spine, coming all the way down to the mat. A happy baby. Rocking left and right. And if the wheels wobble, don't worry about it. You'll get back up. I just wobbled all the way down. And then if you like, shoulder stand, legs up the wall, hugging the knees in. And move into Shavasana. You might place a prop under your knees or keep your knees bent. You might sit. Wherever you go, shoulder blades toward your hips. A little lift of the heart. Palms, if possible, facing upward in a gesture of relaxation and receptivity. Big breath in. Let it go. This is a place where we effort less. No control of the breath, just allowing it. Just noticing the body, the experience, what you feel, whether that's physical or emotional. Noticing any thoughts in your head and not worrying about them. And maybe not even labeling them, just letting them be. Shavasana. Allow the breath, encourage the breath to deepen, and then maybe after some little movements, you roll onto your side to come to a seat, or perhaps you prefer to rock and roll forward and backward until you are seated. We draw the hands together at the heart. Maybe bring a little teeny smile to your face. Even if your eyes are closed, maybe there's a little smile behind the eyelids. And come back to your intention or your motivation. And know that because you come to your mat, and every time you come to your mat, you are preparing yourself for the difficulties off the mat, from the kindness and compassion you can share off the mat, whether to yourself or to others. We'll take one big breath in for an Om if you like. That Om could be silent or out loud. Exhale the air from your lungs. Breathe in super tall. Thumb knuckles connect right at the center of your forehead. We bow to honor one another and the practice that brings us together on and off the mat. Namaste. Great, 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 as always, to practice with you. It is my heartfelt gratitude that I can share with all of those who desire to, whether that's in the studio or online. So thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.